All right, Aditya, thank you for sharing all those details. Well, the final ball rolled across the turf in Colombo on 23rd November 2025, a cheer rose that seemed to shake the stadium. The Indian women's blind cricket team gathered in a tight circle, hands searching for each other, shoulders touching, hearts racing. They had arrived as underdogs to an unfamiliar field. They walked out as world champions. India's team is captained by Deepika TC, a Karnataka native who lost her sight as a baby after an accident. She grew up in a farming family, unaware that sports could define her life. Cricket reached her through specialized schools, where teachers encouraged her to try the game despite her hesitation. Vice Captain Ganga Kadam of Maharashtra, from a family of 9 siblings, was enrolled in a school for the blind by her farmer father to secure a stable future. She played cricket casually until a mentor urged her to take it seriously. Learning to trust sound, timing, and orientation was challenging. The 26-year-old's progress came through persistence rather than immediate results, and she now inspires visually impaired girls in her village to play sports. Born completely blind and abandoned by her father in a remote Assam village, Simu was raised single-handedly by her mother, who also cares for a disabled son. Despite these hardships, Simu held on to the dream of becoming a cricketer and made it to the blind women's cricket team. Hailing from rural Bihar, where opportunities for visually impaired girls are almost non-existent, Anu fought socio-economic barriers to reach the national camp. Relying entirely on sound and muscle memory, she became a dependable member of the squad that went undefeated throughout the 2025 tournament. Born into a poor tribal family in Mayurganj, Jamuna grew up believing girls from her village were meant only for household chores. She silently rebelled by playing cricket on dusty grounds. Completely blind from the village of Buravi in Shivamoga district, Kavya faced huge societal stigma in rural Karnataka. Fearless since childhood, she played in mud fields before formal training turned her into one of India's fastest learners in B1 cricket. A college graduate who tried several jobs before discovering blind cricket, Sunita felt she started late but became one of India's sharpest fielders. At just 15, Karuna is a class 10 student from Visakhapatnam who was born completely blind. She dropped out of school due to family pressure but was brought back by dedicated teachers. Using only the sound of the auditor ball, she scored 42 runs in the World Cup final against Nepal, becoming one of the youngest heroes of India's historic victory. 20-year-old Anika comes from the remote village of Machedi in Kathua. A 5-time national judo gold medalist, she switched to cricket only a year ago after her uncle introduced her to the Delhi team. A tribal girl who started cricket barely a year before the World Cup, Basanti went from working in farmlands to winning player of the match in the semi-final against Australia. The first ever Rajasthani woman to play for the national blind team, Simranjeet grew up in the arid desert where visually impaired girls are often hidden away. An 18-year-old tribal girl who lost one eye at 5 and the other gradually, Fula was raised by her father after her mother's death. She smashed an unbeaten 44 of 24 balls in the final to win player of the match and dedicated the victory to her late mother. Another tribal warrior from Odisha, Parbati grew up in poverty and defied early marriage pressures by choosing education and cricket. Her economical bowling and calm presence strengthened the strong Odisha contingent that dominated the 2025 World Cup. Blinded at the age of 5 in a playground accident, Kavya was initially forbidden by worried parents from playing. Camps and sheer love for the game changed everything. A 21-year-old from Buldean Khan's village, Sushma lost vision in one eye at 6 and gradually lost the other as well. Discovered at the Samartham camp in 2022, she became player of the series in 2023 nationals. Born visually impaired in the small town of Betul, Durga was selected through talent hunts and trained relentlessly. And these are the stories of these young women, the Nari Shakti of India, and the big win that they've now made. Joining us at this point in time is Mr. Tos Rizvi, senior sports journalist, as well as Dr. Martand Jha, contributing editor, NewsX. Thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us on NewsX, where it's, for me also as a journalist, it's a big day sitting over here talking about these women who have inspired so many others to take on sports. What do you make of it? Mr. Tos Rizvi, I'll come to you first. What do you make of this? What is your first statement?
Indian women. You talk about Indian women's cricket team that won in the DY party stadium. Then the Indian blinds cricket team, they have been an inspiration. You came out with some amazing stories. These girls coming from areas, from difficult circumstances and conquering the world is kind of an inspiration. That's huge inspiration. Then followed by World Kabaddi, World Cup, Indian women winning Kabaddi World Cup. I mean, this is the month of women, the way the Indian women have dominated, especially these, the blind women cricket team, the way it was the first tournament. I mean, what to say, the way they played their heart out with big, it was a big moment. I mean, these girls, not many of them would have expected that they would have gone on to play international cricket. But then on their first, mind you, this is the inaugural World Cup, and in their inaugural World Cup, the way they played, as if they have been playing for such a long time. They have massive experience. But then this is not just about experience. This is pure passion and love for the game. And of course, breaking those barriers that we have been seeing in the recent past, that Indian women especially, they have been breaking barriers, conquering the world with their special display, with their special talents. And this is what the blind women team cricket did recently.
Right, absolutely. Dr. Jha, I'd like to come to you and also talk about, we've spoken about the players, their stories, and in many of the cases, as far as these players go, many of the times there are people, their loved ones, their teachers, their mentors who've pushed them to play the sport, to, of course, and pushing somebody and giving them the confidence that they can do something and be big. That's also a major step. What do you make of it?
See, first of all, a lot of congratulations to the Indian women's blind cricket team for winning the World Cup. But I don't think it's a sports story. It's a story for person with disabilities. I've been writing on disability rights since last decade. My complaint towards the Indian media and the Indian population, Indian society in general, that they make this, emotional goody-goody story when something like this happens. I myself wrote a piece for the Hindu, I think 10 years, 11 years back, when the Indian men's blind cricket team won a World Cup. My take is, when the able-bodied people, the men's cricket team win a World Cup, there's a lot of hoopla, people come out on the street, they celebrate, they fire crackers. How many of those things have you seen this time? None. Zero. Why? Because in Indian societies, it is sad to say, but I'm going to say this, that persons with disabilities are treated like dirt, right? They are not given the due reservations in their jobs. They are not given due selections in the admission processes. They are made to, run from pillar to post. And here we are, when they win, then the media celebrates. It's like, if they win, then we'll cover you. If not, you are invisible. This is a very sorry state of affairs. And I'm going to say this loud and clear, that until and unless Indian society has this ableist mindset, the media is also going to reflect the same again and again. There's going to be no change. Until you do something extraordinary, then we will put you on the pedestal. Then you will get to meet the ministers. Then you will have some say, right? If you don't do that, then you are nobody. And secondly, all physical disabilities are not homogeneous in nature. They are not alike, right? I have seen from my childhood That's a boy or a girl who can, you know, make paintings from their legs. They are portrayed in the media. Oh wow! What if some person with disability can't do that? There are millions and millions of persons with disabilities in India who got uncensused. The last census happened in 2011, according to which 1.67 crore person with disabilities existed, but the WHO report said.
Okay, but do you think things have changed? Do you think, you know, because we have a lot of initiatives that are there in place. So one that I can name off the, you know, off my head is Portability, which is now essentially looking at putting out its infrastructure, its sports facilities to people so that they can learn the sport. Do you think there's a change?
See, changes are there, but they are very minuscule in nature, right? I'm going to explain this. Many institutions, many NGOs, they are working, you know, tirelessly 24/7 for persons with disabilities. Hats off to them, and they are working on very shoestring budgets. I am talking about the mentality of the Indian society towards persons with disabilities in general. Okay, their representation is nowhere. Okay, if you talk about any field, they are not visible in the Group A jobs, even in the government sector, right? Mostly they are employed in the Group C or the Group D categories, right? And if you look at across the spectrum, across the board members, any company you go, it would be hard to find person with disabilities. Even, you know, in TV journalism, print journalism, how many, you know, person with disabilities are journalists? How many of them are hired? Because their disability is seen as their inability until and unless they achieve something extraordinary.
These conversations, sir, are important because the media too plays a role in putting that change forward to make this, and of course today we're here to talk about this team that has done us well, the maiden women's T20 World Cup for the blind, and we won it amongst 6 other in 6 contenders. Mr. Rizvi, I'd like to come to you and understand from you what exactly has changed in the past decade, where we're looking at these matches and we're also looking at an approach. You know, for example, in this particular match, we saw that there was a plastic ball that was there with metal bearings that could jingle, and that's of course facilitated the women with vision disabilities to come up to play this match and to big win. What do you make of this approach?
Yeah, of course. See, again, I would go back to Dr. Saab. One thing is that media, even if you saw the 83 World Cup, how much that 83 World Cup was covered, it was the results that mattered at the end of the day. I mean, slowly, gradually, yeah, you need to be seen, you need to be heard. I mean, you need to deliver to be heard. I mean, for example, if you don't shout, if you don't scream, no one will look at you, and this is what sports does. So the approach will change slowly and gradually. I mean, it's all about putting effort, because there is lack of awareness. Unfortunately, there is lack of awareness on the streets. I mean, if you go to the railway station, how many times you will see wheelchair for Divyang people, or maybe the ramp for Divyang people, or something, you know, to help these, to help blind with disabled people. So there is lack of awareness. Even the government needs to come and support, or maybe understand what exactly we have to educate people. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing that we won the championship. I hope this is not just the celebration. We need to learn from here. We need to support, whether you talk about the cricketing bodies, private cricketing bodies, or the association, state level or the district level, the NGOs, the CSR, the corporate, or maybe the government. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the government and the people. We need to back each other. It's not just about media or the individual. It's a team effort. At the end of the day, it's a team game, and it's not just team game. I mean, it's an effort. It's the whole country has to come together. We need to educate. We need to support them. Otherwise, it's not just about blind women winning the tournament, or maybe the Divyang doing something extraordinary. Then we celebrate, we burst crackers, and then after a few days we forget them. What happened? What is the follow-up? Not many people do the follow-up. Not many media go into it. What about the stories? These stories are inspirational. I mean, the way our uncle came up with these amazing stories, these are inspiring. These should be told in school. These stories should be, you know, in the textbooks. They should inspire these kids. They should make them aware. These are the things that a lot of people go through, whether rural areas or urban. There should be awareness. But of course, this is something big, and we need to, you know, gradually improve on it, work on it, back them, and it's not just blind people, but the other disabled or Divyang people. This is where we need to seize the moment. Unfortunately, we have not been. We have just been celebrating it. We are not seizing the moment. And I somewhere agree with Dr. Saab.
All right, Dr. Jha, I'd like to come back to you. What does support truly mean in this case? What kind of infrastructure is perhaps required in order to fulfill these dreams, in order to make sure that these dreams are possible for anyone and everyone?
Firstly, I would like to comment to my esteemed colleague 2 points. He said there is a lack of awareness. I would say there is a lack of empathy. I have seen Indian people, mocking and assaulting and abusing person with disabilities. If you are going to interview any of those women who won the World Cup, they can tell you tens and hundreds of stories when they will be mocked, assaulted, humiliated, abused, and there is no law where these people are sent to jail. I actually filed an RTI 2-3 years back that give me a record of how many people actually going to jail for actually assaulting a disabled person or mocking or humiliating or making suggestive gestures against person with disabilities. And you know how many people were jailed? Zero. Exactly zero. National Crimes Record Bureau, Ministry of Home Affairs have no record because these crimes go unpunished every day. On a everyday basis, I have done countless stories on disability rights. That's why I'm saying this is not a sports story, ma'am. This is a disability rights story. Second point was, sir was saying in 1983 how many media houses covered that. A lot of media houses did cover that, but I am going to say from 1983 to 1993, the landscape of cricket changed completely in India, right? It came on the cable television. The commentators, the cricketers started getting very good perks. But if you compare the same 10-year gap from 2014 till now, because in 2014 also the Indian men's blind cricket team won the World Cup.
Okay, and to my question, what perhaps is the kind of support that can be given to these players so that they can fulfill their dreams?
So that would be a two-level approach. Firstly, on a societal level, we need to make sure that our society has more empathy and gives equal opportunities to persons with disabilities. Only then we will have good players who can make good contribution on a constant, consistent and a continual basis. Because until that happens, this would be, as I mentioned earlier, it was just a goody story which media does once in a while when they prove themselves, when they win something. That's my assertion.
Right, absolutely. I'd like the last word from Mr. Tosh Rizvi. What do you essentially make of the statements that have been made? Are you of the same approach, or perhaps could you also give us your assessment on what it is that can be done in order to fulfill more dreams, to see more of these women standing over there with a trophy in their hands, big smiles, and of course, this feeling that you've done something and you've done your country right?
The most important thing is, of course, the infrastructure that they need, or whether this blind cricket team or any other Divyang category or disabled categories, whatever they need, the infrastructure, the platform, the tournaments, the facilities, the backup, the support, which is all needed for them to, come out with flying colors. Apart from that, you're talking about empathy. I did a lot of stories with disabled players or wheelchair cricketers. The thing they say, you know what? They say, we are not becharas. This is what the headline that came through when I was interviewing one of the team, the captain of the Mumbai team. We are not becharas. We are there. We want to be out there to prove ourselves that we are the best. We are equal among all of us, and we are no less. At the end, they need what exactly this. There was a tournament recently in Mumbai where this individual Rahul had organized the whole tournament for a state tournament. There was hardly any backup, unfortunately. What about the state association? What about the government? He somehow managed to get sponsors from here and there, and had to put a lot of money from his own pockets to organize a 3-state tournament, which Mumbai won eventually. It's more than lip service. It has to be more than lip service. Yeah, they have won. This is the time the Indian government, the Indian corporates, the body, the state association, everybody has to come up, back them, give them platform, give them infrastructure. What the other guys get, what the other people get, whether it's the Indian cricket team, yeah, slowly, gradually, they won't get it completely. They won't get a 1K day stadium, but initial period, they can get good facilities, good food, good nutrition and facilities to perform. And especially, I would like to tell you, these girls have come from rural areas. The stories that you have narrated,
Yes.
these girls from rural come from rural areas. I'm not sure how many of them will be able to get the facility or the trust that help them spot the talent with the talent hunt. But what about the facilities in the rural areas? It's the rural areas which give most of the Olympians, most of the athletes, more than urban somewhere or the other urban cities give you some kind of facilities. But what about the rural areas? It's the rural areas. Along with that, majorly we have to work on it.
Right, absolutely. You know, like I said, those visuals that you were looking at, they're women who face their own challenges. They decided to take a step forward, play for the Indian team, and now, of course, they've clinched victory. They've made history, and so much more. With that, I'd like to thank both our guests for joining us in the broadcast, sharing their perspectives with us on NewsX. Meanwhile, we have some breaking news coming in. The Assam Assembly today has passed the Assam prohibition of